Biosecure Act. We have an analyst with us and we have our in-house expert Varsha also with us. So Varsha, I'll first take to you before we go to Sumit Gupta of Centrum, and just tell us what has happened. Why is it a setback for Indian CDMO players?
Well, Neeraj, the main reason why all the CDMO companies were buzzing in last 3 to 4 months was US Biosecure Act. Now, what has happened is the US Biosecure Act, which aimed to ban 5 Chinese companies from US funded research, was removed from a key defense bill. The targeted companies include BGI Genomics, Wuxi Aptac and Wuxi Biologics. Now, why the act was proposed in the first place? Because supporters argued that it was needed to stop China from misusing biological data for harmful purposes. Now, why this act has been dropped? Because lawmakers objected to blacklisting companies without a fair process, and they wanted clear rules for adding and removing companies from such lists. Now, what is the impact of dropping this act? Now, this act is hard to pass. Supporters may try it to attach to other critical bills later, but this is negative for Indian CDMO companies like Divi's Laboratories, your Laurus Labs, Syngene International, Newland Labs, because all these companies were pegging on US Biosecure Act, which is in simple words is nothing but China plus one strategy. But now, since these companies will not be banned, there's tough competition for the Indian CDMO companies, because the CDMO base, the China actually has the CDMO base, and these 5 companies top when it comes to CDMO contracts.
Varsha, thanks for that. And Sumit Gupta, AVP of Research at Centrum, joins in right now to talk about this particular thing. Sumit, if you would have scanned the news, what kind of an impact does this have on Indian CDMO players? Because yes, there's a lot of uptick in anticipation of this. And is this a temporary impact according to you?
Hey, hi, thanks for having me. So first is on the overall, this particular segment that has come. So it might be a sentimental negative in the near term. However, if we see from structural point of view, China has been the top CDMO player by providing generous government support and labor, which is nearly 25 to 30% less expensive versus the other countries. However, if you see, trade restrictions were imposed by the former US President Donald Trump, and the COVID-19 pandemic also caused supply chain disruptions. At that point of time, China began to lose its market share. So this led to India's CDMO business taking advantage of that particular situation, and this was a huge benefit and a game changer as the big businesses began to de-risk by awarding contracts to the Indian firms. So structurally, if you see, it has been going on for the past few years, and post-COVID materially. And going forward also, we expect this particular story to go forward also over the next 8 to 10 years. So in the near term, obviously there might be some some issues in terms of how the act gets passed. However, going for in the long run, we are positive on the Indian CDMO industry.
So, Sumit, let's get specific. Which companies do you think, which Indian CDMO players do you think will see the biggest hit today, and then actually give us an opportunity to buy in if required?
We don't have coverage on CDMO sector as a whole, but the top 5 companies, just like obviously companies like Divi's or Pharma, they are one of the biggest beneficiary of this act. So I won't be going to specific names due to not being coverage. So, however, we are positive on all these names.
Any of the mainstay pharma companies which have a large CDMO presence? I mean, were you trying to say that? And therefore, are there anything from that act that might react today and might be good buys?
Yes.
So which one would those be?
So it would be around, you can say, companies like Divi's or Pharma or Suven Pharma. So
but you don't have coverage there. No, but large cap pharma, anybody which has got a large CDMO activity and therefore they might also react negatively today? The Sun Pharmas or the Lupids of the world? No.
No, not that much.
Not
but
that
majorly
much. Okay.
It would be, but it would be majorly the large CDMO companies that I would be focused on.
Okay, so in that sense, watch out for a Divi's, watch out for a Suven and some of those which will be hit.
Yeah, but
right. No, please continue your point, Sumit.
Okay, so overall, the structural story remains positive for the Indian CDMO space as a whole, because irrespective of the US Biosecure Act, the mindset of the overall business across the world has been about de-risking from the China. So that is a structural play going on across the globe.
Okay, great. Great talking to you, Sumit, this morning. Thanks so much for taking the time out. I think the view from both experts who we've spoken to, Rahul Chadda and Sumit, seems to be that this is a temporary hit today. But watch out. Laurus, Divi's, Syngene, Piramal Pharma, all of these will have a negative start today for sure. Whether they bounce back remains to be seen.